Hey everybody, hope this finds you doing well. This is Danelle, and today we're going to go over some of the top news stories over the past 7 days, including what's been happening with Bitcoin. As you can see here, Bitcoin is nearing $20,000 over the last 7 days. It has gone up nearly 18% at 17.88% as we record, and Ethereum is pushing towards 1500, currently trading at $1,453.21, up over 14% at 14.61%. So we are seeing the cryptocurrency market take a leg up over this past week or so. As you can see, Cardano up nearly 25% at 34 cents. And Solana, which has had its share of volatility over the last several months, is now up over 37% at $18.40 over the last 7 days. Polkadot, Litecoin, pretty much everything, especially in the top 20 or so, has gone up significantly over the last 7 days. So it'll be interesting to see how far we go up. Many believe that this is basically a bull trap. And what that means is that when we're in a bear market, when the market is down generally, and then you have a leg or two up in price, many people start to jump in thinking that, okay, the price is going to continue to go up. But then generally what happens, people who have been buying down at the lows are selling, and then the price will start to go back down to where it was previously. So they call that a bull trap. People come in as the price is going up thinking, okay, we're getting ready to go into a bull run. Let's go and start buying. And then the people who had been buying at the lows are selling, and then the price goes back down. So that's considered a bull trap. So we'll see and continue, obviously, to monitor. And as we saw for a quick second, oh, there we go. We're over $20,000 right now. So Bitcoin is definitely on a run. We are currently at nearly $1 trillion market cap. The market cap is at 937 billion, given what's happening right now. So we'll be interested to see what happens over the next several days, and particularly the next couple of weeks, to see if we end up coming back down or if Bitcoin is going to continue to go back up. If we look at the total cryptocurrency market cap, and this is over the last, it looks like 9 to 10 years, and you can see that we reached a peak of about almost $3 trillion. And that was when we reached our highs in November of 2021. And we've come all the way down to just under 1 trillion. So we're definitely still in a bear market, but we'll be looking to see if we're able to have some momentum. But most likely, we're probably going to have a pretty choppy 2023, especially when we think about the macroeconomic environment, in that we're still trying to see if inflation is going to continue to go down, especially given the efforts of the Federal Reserve in the United States, as there and other countries as well are pumping up the interest rates to cool down inflation. And as you can see, over the last 7 days, we're now at $20,000, up from, I should say, from 16,000 from basically 7 days ago. So we have been doing quite well over the last week. So will Bitcoin continue to see this momentum? We shall see. So one of the biggest news stories of the week is that the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, which is an agency, a federal agency in the United States that is supposed to be protecting especially retail investors, but just investors in generally, with regards to securities and other investment products. And the SEC is who you have to file various forms and documents if you're an investment advisor, if you plan on selling stocks, if you plan on going public. The SEC is one of the agencies that you have to interact with when doing these type of businesses related to investments from the retail and institutional side. So Gemini, one of the top cryptocurrency exchanges in the United States, has now been served a notice that they are going to be investigated and potentially fined for selling unregistered securities. So if you're going to be selling security, which basically is an instrument that you can buy on various exchanges, you have to register with the SEC. And in order to do that, what's considered a security is when you are involved in a investment that is going to a common enterprise with the expectation of profit. So that's part of the variables that they look at when determining whether or not something is a security. So one of the issues that we find ourselves in the cryptocurrency market is that we don't know for sure if cryptocurrencies are going to be considered securities or a commodity. Most regulatory agencies around the world have determined that Bitcoin is most likely a commodity like gold or rice or grain. There's no one centralized entity that is controlling that item or that commodity. So Bitcoin really falls well into that definition. But some of these other cryptocurrency projects that do have teams that are, selling and marketing and developing and working on some of these different cryptocurrencies and the cryptocurrency projects are a little bit more borderline. So anyway, the SEC has filed a complaint against Gemini stating that they have sold unregistered securities. So they had a product called, it's no longer listed here, called Gemini Earn, where basically if you left your cryptocurrency assets in this particular program on the Gemini exchange, then you would get a nice yield in return. So for example, if I held some Bitcoin, as you can see, similar to staking, where you see here the staking is 4.22% APY on certain cryptos. It was somewhat similar in that if you left your cryptocurrency in this particular, it was locked up in this earn program for a particular period of time. So it took some time before you could get it out. You can get it out supposedly whenever you wanted to, but it did take some time to get it out if you decided to take your crypto off the earn, take it out of the earn program. But anyway, you got yield. So sometimes it could be as high as 4%, 8%, but generally anywhere between 1% to 9%, you were able to get yield for leaving your cryptocurrency assets in this Gemini Earn program. And they partnered with a company called Genesis, which is owned by Digital Currency Group, which is the largest venture capital company in the digital currency space. And they are a conglomerate that owns a number of subsidiaries, including CoinDesk, which is one of the major publications in the cryptocurrency space related to cryptocurrency news and events. Foundry, Genesis Global, that is the company that was partnered with Gemini for the Gemini Earn program, and Grayscale Investments, which is the largest, as we know, company that owns Bitcoin. So they own upwards of, let's see here, they own upwards of 638,000 Bitcoin. So they have GBTC, which is sold on to institutional clients, and now some retail investors are able to purchase GBTC through their IRA accounts. But basically, it is a form of Bitcoin. For every GBTC that is bought, it represents a fraction of Bitcoin. So right now, it's actually selling at a large discount. So a number of retail investors as well as institutions are buying up GBTC because it's selling it has been at about a 30% discount for a while now. But people say once the SEC approves of a exchange traded fund where you could then have Bitcoin that you can invest into, like an index fund that you do, say the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ, similar to that, you would then be able to buy into a basket of cryptocurrency where you don't have to hold the Bitcoin. So in this case, Grayscale would be holding the Bitcoin for you, and you can then buy and sell and trade that exchange traded fund, that ETF. But right now, because we don't have the ETF, the Grayscale, the GBTC, either is sold at a premium or sold at a discount. Right now, it's at a heavy discount. But anyway, uh, Digital Currency Group owns Genesis, and right now Genesis is mulling, and DCG is mulling a venture portfolio sale to shore up the 3 billion Genesis shortfall. So Genesis is a trading platform that deals mostly with institutional clients, and they also do lending as well, and they got caught up in the entire Three Arrows Capital Terra Luna collapse that happened last summer, and they lost a lot of value. So now they had to shut down trading. Genesis had to shut down trading completely for any of their institutional clients. And then that in turn affected the people who were part of the Gemini Earn program. In full transparency, I had a couple $100 worth of cryptocurrency in the Gemini Earn program, and I was earning yield on crypto through that program. And now my funds are locked up. And currently, Gemini has now said that they're ending the Earn program, but they're working hard to see if we can get our cryptocurrency back from that Gemini Earn program. And now it's become a public feud between Gemini and DCG. Gemini, who is owned and was founded by the Winklevoss twins. A lot of people know them from Facebook. They sued Mark Zuckerberg, saying that he stole their idea for the Facebook, and they settled many, many years ago with that particular lawsuit. And they went on to buy Bitcoin, and they're also one of the largest holders of Bitcoin. And they founded Gemini, this cryptocurrency exchange. Now, if you look here at Tyler's Twitter feed, they sent out an open letter to the digital currency group board of directors as well as to the CEO, Barry Silbert. And basically, in turn, they talk about their disappointment with not being able to get these funds back for the Gemini Earn program or users. And so, as he says here, this was on January, I believe January 2nd that he sent this. Yes, January 2nd that he sent this letter, that today, at that time, marked 47 days that Genesis had halted withdrawals. And so, the past 6 weeks, they had been doing everything they could to engage with them in good faith. And so, basically, he goes into detail as to what Gemini has been trying to do, and that DCG and Genesis has kind of, dropped the ball in terms of finding ways and providing liquidity so that they can then return the funds back to the Gemini Earn users. So that's still developing, and we shall see what happens now that the SEC has put Gemini on notice. As you can see here, Gemini has had an action brought against them from the SEC, and other creditors are working hard together to recover funds. This action does nothing to further our efforts and helping their Earn users get their assets back. They believe that the behavior of the SEC is counterproductive, and you can check out his Twitter and read his full explanation to the Earn program. He said it was regulated by the New York State Department of Financial Services. So they're regulated by them because they are headquartered in New York. And they say that they've been in discussions with the SEC about the Earn program for the last 17 months. So we shall see how that materializes over the next several weeks and several months. And just to go back quickly over Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, it's GBTC on the exchanges. And right now they have over $12 billion under management. And you can see this amazing return since inception. Digital Currency Group is one of the first major venture capital funds that got into and invested in Bitcoin when Bitcoin was in the early on days. So we'll go back here really quick just so we can see who the large Bitcoin holders are. Satoshi Nakamoto still has not, from what we can tell, sold any of their Bitcoin. They have over 1 million Bitcoin that has not been touched, and it is across 22,000 addresses, and that's because Satoshi Nakamoto, the first transactions was done and mined in blocks through Satoshi. So they had 22,000 blocks that were mined, and they got a total of 1 million plus Bitcoin. As you can see here, also Winklevoss twins have over 70,000 Bitcoin. These are the addresses of unknown entities that also have a ton of Bitcoin. You have exchanges, obviously, that are going to have a ton of Bitcoin as well. Even the U.S. Department of Justice has a number of Bitcoin, part of it due to the Bitfinex hack, the unknown source here. We're not certain about the other nearly 80,000 Bitcoin. And then some of the companies that have Bitcoin on their balance sheet is Grayscale, as we talked about, Block One, and MicroStrategy. And they have now added to this 100,000 number, and they have now nearly almost 133,000 Bitcoin in total. And if you wanted to check, you can check the Bitcoin blockchain, which is one of the amazing things about blockchain technology. You can check the ledger to see what transactions and what's going on in these different wallets. So, the other major news that we got yesterday on January 12th was that US inflation is coming down. The US inflation slowed for the sixth straight month in December. The consumer price index is now only 6.5% higher from December of 2021. So, remember that these CPI numbers only go back, well, they do go back 12 months. So sometimes it may not give you the best perspective because it's really comparing it to what inflation was a year prior, when really we should be kind of going month by month or a couple months at a time to see what's happening. But we do see that this is the lowest number that we've seen over the last several months. And we had a peak of 9.1% in June, 7.1% in November, and now 6.5% in December. Now, when we see these CPI numbers going down, that's usually when you'll start to see people in the stock market get a little bit more enthusiastic and start to buy stocks again because they believe that that's an indicator that the stock market will continue to make forward movement on the upside if inflation continues to go down. So as we can see over the last 5 days, the S&P 500, which is the major indices that most people use as a major benchmark for what's happening in the overall equities market, is now nearing 4,000, and it's gone up over 2% over the last week. Or we're going to see what happens with Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market as a whole, as well as the stock market as a whole, over these next several weeks and several months, as hopefully the inflation continues to go down. And then maybe we'll see in time that our investments will be good ones as we dollar cost average, as we try to invest in Bitcoin, some of the other top cryptocurrencies, and some of the better stocks and companies in the world. Not financial advice. Make sure that you do your own research. Thank you so much for listening. Take care. Bye bye.